Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 12-team PPR mock draft from the 6th overall spot using FantasyPros Draft Wizard. The roster positions for today's mock are 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flex spots, a kicker defense, and 6 bench spots. We're going to be drafting up against the expert consensus rankings from FantasyPros, as well as the composite ADP from ESPN, NFL Sleeper, and RT Sports. But before we could get on into this mock draft, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, then you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. And if you would like to purchase my rankings, both full PPR as well as half PPR, they're on Patreon for $7.50. If you continue to be a Patreon throughout the season, I will post my weekly rankings every single week on the Patreon, as well as answer all of your guys' questions that you message me on there. So we get into the draft. It begins with Justin Jefferson, Christian McCaffrey, Jamar Chase, Austin Eckler, and Saquon Barkley. So pretty normal first 4 picks. You guys know that I am definitely a lot more likely to go with Tyreek Hill or Cooper Kupp at the 104 compared to Austin Eckler, but I wouldn't say that's that out of the ordinary. Now, Saquon at pick number 5 definitely feels a little spicy. I don't have Saquon Barkley ranked as my running back 3. I have Bijan ranked as my RB2 and Austin Eckler as my RB3. So I definitely would not take Saquon at the 105. Now, could he at the end of the season pay off, finish as a top 3 running back 100%? But I definitely would have leaned with Tyreek Hill there. But ultimately, I think it is going to be very plausible in a lot of fantasy football drafts this season to get either Tyreek or Cooper Kupp at the 1.6 anyways. So we're going to go with Tyreek Hill here, wide receiver of the Miami Dolphins. I am a huge believer of Tyreek Hill this season. I think if Tua Tagovailoa is able to stay healthy, I think Tyreek Hill could easily go for 2,000 plus receiving yards. I expect this offense to take a next step up this year, the second year under Mike McDaniel. And also, this is something I've brought up a bunch. Tyreek Hill said it himself that last year he didn't have the strongest grasp of the playbook, and now he has a much better grasp of it. So the fact that he went absolutely nuclear last season without even knowing the playbook that well, and with Skylar Thompson and Teddy Bridgewater playing some games, imagine if Tua plays a majority of the games, Tyreek could hit the fucking moon for fantasy football. After Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Bijan Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Tony Pollard, Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, and Derrick Henry. Now, for me, at the middle of the second round, it is a absolute no-brainer who to take at running back. These fantasy football platforms do not adjust quick enough. They adjust at a snail's pace. Josh Jacobs could easily finish this season as a top 3 running back, and you could easily talk yourself into ranking him as a top 5 running back. And yet, FantasyPros, ESPN, Yahoo, NFL, all these websites have him buried in the rankings. Josh Jacobs is going to be good again. He's on a 1-year contract. We saw what they did last year on the 1-year contract, right? They didn't bring him and accept that 5th-year option. So while he was on the team for 3 years before that, right, it was essentially his final year, a 1-year contract, and they ran the poor bastard into the dirt. And he came back to get beaten down again, run a million times, and that's very exciting for fantasy football. I think Josh Jacobs could easily be selected in the early second round of fantasy football drafts, and I think had he not have had this whole holdout situation, we might be talking about Jacobs as a first-round draft pick. But again, people don't adjust very quickly. In the middle of the second round, I am taking Josh Jacobs there every single time. After Jacobs, we see Jahmyr Gibbs, Pat Mahomes, Chris Olave, Josh Allen, Aaron Jones, Travis Etienne, Jaylen Waddle, Joe Mixon, Mark Andrews, as well as DK Metcalf. Anytime you can get Andrews in the middle, or not the middle, I guess the early third round, to me, that's a wet dream for me. I love Mark Andrews this season. I think he could definitely take over as the #1 tight end in all of fantasy football. So we start with a very balanced approach to our team. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be, like Dano says, right? Josh Jacobs and Tyreek Hill. There is an argument to be made that both of these guys could finish the end of the year at #1 at their position, right? Jacobs runs all over these teams. He's catching more passes like he did last year. Maybe Jimmy Garoppolo is a little bit better than people think. The Raiders offense as a whole is a little bit better. And Josh Jacobs finishes as the RB1. The argument for Tyreek Hill, very simple. Tua stays healthy. The second year of the Mike McDaniel system, Tyreek Hill goes nuclear like he did last year, scores maybe 10 touchdowns, finishes as the RB1, or the wide receiver 1, obviously. Right? Very easy arguments to make for both of them. So now the question at hand is, do we go quarterback, running back, or wide receiver? At tight end, TJ Hawkinson to me is not a third round pick. Some people will take him in the third round because he is this safety net, right? Every single week you're going to feel confident with Hawkinson in your lineup, but I don't want to pay third round ADP for that. So the question is, are we going to jump back into the running back well and get Ramondre Stevenson here? Or are we going to be waiting at running back? Because if we don't draft Ramondre Stevenson, by the time things swing around the fourth round, the running backs start to get a little bit more murky, right? I assume Najee, Breece, Dameon Pierce are going to all be off the board. So then you get into the range of Kenneth Walker, Miles Sanders, Alexander Madison, J.K. Dobbins, James Conner, Rachaad White, Cam Akers, and I said Rashad White like I don't know what the fuck his name is. Rachaad White. Rashad with 2 A's White, right? It's a gross range at running back. So I think that if we don't go with Stevenson, we're definitely not taking a running back in that range unless there was a crazy fall like Humpty Dumpty off the wall. Could go receiver here, Devontae Smith, Keenan Allen, T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, and I think that's what we are going to do here. We're going to go with my highest ranked wide receiver, and that is going to be Calvin Ridley. I am a huge fan of Calvin Ridley this season. I've been talking about it ad nauseum on this channel. I genuinely believe that Calvin Ridley has top 3 upside at the wide receiver position. This man carved the Dolphins defense up like a Thanksgiving turkey in preseason. All of the shots out of training camp were orgasmic. This guy is making the defense look silly. Now, they are the Jaguars defense, but I project the Dolphins defense to actually be pretty good, and Calvin Ridley made him look silly. So if he's the number 1 receiver, like I think he should be, in a high-octane offense with Trevor Lawrence as the quarterback, I am ecstatic about Calvin Ridley. After Calvin Ridley, could have definitely went Jalen Hurts there as well, though I would argue that in a lot of leagues, by the middle of the third round, a lot of the time, Jalen Hurts is already going to be gone, right? The big 3 quarterbacks sometimes all come off the board before the third round even starts. So after Jalen Hurts, Keenan Allen, Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, Lamar Jackson, T. Higgins, Dameon Pierce, Joe Burrow, Breece Hall, TJ Hawkinson, and Deebo Samuel. So just as I projected and talked about before, the running backs that are available right now are fucking putrid. Now, could Walker, could Sanders be good? 100%. Miles Sanders still dealing with an injury. Kenneth Walker dealing with Zach Charbonnet behind him, who's going to be catching the passes, could potentially move in more on the goal line. I don't think Kenneth Walker has clear supremacy over this backfield. I think if Walker goes down to an injury, there's a chance that by the time he gets healthy again, Zach Charbonnet ends up as the lead back on the team. He's a much better receiving back, and I think in terms of in between the tackles, they are pretty similar. So while Kenneth Walker is going to be given the opportunity to tote the rock first in these games, I think there's a clear path for him to potentially lose his job. So again, does that mean Kenneth Walker's a terrible pick? No, he's just not a guy that I'm targeting. If he falls into the 5th round, I'm jumping all over that. Because I like this Seattle offense as a whole. I want to have pieces of Kenneth Walker because I think he's a great running back. But in the 4th round, it is simply too high for me. I love Justin Fields. I give Justin Fields the metaphorical gawk 9,000 every single fucking video, basically, where I can talk about him. I love the rushing upside. I love DJ Moore. I love that the offensive line is going to be better, but I can't pay that price in the 4th round. I've noticed a lot more recently, Joe Burrow going clearly ahead of Justin Fields. To me, that is a little bit crazy. I get that Joe Burrow is definitely safer than Justin Fields, 100%. Joe Burrow's in an offense with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, right? They have Joe Mixon. They have a decent offensive line, right? And Joe Burrow is a great quarterback, but I just feel like the rushing upside of Justin Fields is so significant for fantasy football that, to me, I would rather pick Fields over Burrow. Then we could take a gander over to the tight end room. Now, I am a huge Darren Waller truther, but I don't want to reach for Darren Waller, right? I feel like in the 5th round, that's a fair pick to take him, right? With our pick in the 5th round. Now, it might technically be a reach based on his ADP, but I think he's a fair pick in the 5th round. But in the 4th round, right, even though I am the biggest Darren Waller stan on earth, that is simply too damn high. So we're back up on the clock here. Look at that receiver. That's going to be our pick. It's either going to be Amari Cooper, DJ Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, Deontay Johnson, Christian Watson at this spot. I have kind of started to like Chris Godwin a little bit more, but drafting the number 1 receiver in a Baker Mayfield-led offense in the 4th round just feels so gross. Could it work? Maybe, right? We've seen Baker Mayfield look good in preseason, but in the 4th round, that is a tough pill to swallow, right? At the end of the day, am I going to be able to live with it? In some situations, yes. If there's like a deeper league, I get it. But in 12-team league, it's just not for me. Normally, we go with Amari Cooper here, but we're going to go with Wiki DJ Moore this time. Again, I am ecstatic for DJ Moore finally getting a chance with a quarterback that is just not absolutely god-awful, right? We have seen DJ Moore have PJ Walker, XFL legend, Mono Man Sam, Baker Mayfield, Cam Newton after his prime throwing him the ball, right? And there's even more quarterbacks that I haven't even named that played quarterback for DJ Moore. Finally, he gets a quarterback that is at least halfway decent, and this is going to finally be the year that DJ Moore breaks out and absolutely hangs his nuts on the defense. After DJ Moore, Wiki, J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Walker, Chris Godwin, Miles Sanders, Amari Cooper, D-Hop, George Kittle, Drake London, Terry McLaurin, and Jonathan Taylor. Terry McLaurin right now is a really gross pick in the 5th round. Now, he is 100% kind of a safe pick once he gets healthy. Right now, he's not healthy. We don't know how much time he's going to miss. When he's healthy, you throw him in your lineup. He's never really going to win you your week, but he's also never going to really lose you your week. But with the injury concerns in the 5th round, that's just crazy. Now, Jonathan Taylor falling all the way to the 5th round. What do you guys think about that? How far does Jonathan Taylor have to fall to where you are going to pull the trigger? Because right now, we 100% know that Jonathan Taylor starting the season 4 weeks on the PUP. The pup. After that, when he gets activated, will he show up to play for the Colts? I don't know. Every report is that this, and I've talked about this a bunch, the situation between Jonathan Taylor, the relationship between him and the Colts is fucking ruptured in half. It is broken, torn apart. So when he gets activated off the PUP 4 weeks into the season, for week 5, is he playing? If he doesn't play, does he end up getting traded, right? Or does Irsay just kind of hold him hostage until next season, right? Do we even see him get traded? So in the 5th round, the upside of this Jonathan Taylor pick is insane, right? We could see Jonathan Taylor come back off the PUP and then show up to the Colts and look like Jonathan Taylor from a couple of years ago. We could also have a situation where we don't see Jonathan Taylor at all this season, and your 5th round pick doesn't do shit. But the thing is, you're going to hold him. He is locked onto your roster because you're never going to want to cut Jonathan Taylor. Because the immense amount of sadness you will feel when you cut Jonathan Taylor, he gets traded, or he just decides to show up, and he's now balling out of control as a top 5 running back, you're going to feel like a complete and utter dunce. So Jonathan Taylor puts your mind in a mental twister. A mental asylum, because you don't know what to do with him. In the 5th round, my take is I'm not taking him. I'm not taking him in the 5th round. Let someone else deal with that. Could he come back? Could he be amazing? Yes. Could he be traded to a team? Yes. But he wasn't traded yesterday like we all thought he would be. Very gross situation. Let me know in the comments, what round would you take Jonathan Taylor? I saw a draft that was done on Underdog, I think, on Twitter, where he went at pick 100. Now at pick 100, would you take the risk? I think so. But at pick 53, I don't think so. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about that. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. While you're down there, it's our squad: Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, Wiki, DJ Moore. So I was someone that started to panic a little bit about Alexander Madison, but now I am back on the train, right? Because Alexander Madison, Alexander the Great, is now locked and loaded as the RB1. I thought maybe Jonathan Taylor was going to come in there, hit him with the people's elbow, hit him with the RKO from out of nowhere like Randy Orton, and then Alexander Madison's value would kerplunk down the draft board, and he's back to being a handcuff that you might have taken in the 5th round. But now, he's the clear RB1. There's not a lot of competition behind him. This is a great situation for him to be in. Now, the Vikings are not a very run-heavy team anymore. A couple years ago, this was a team that just ran the rock at an exorbitant rate. They love to run the ball. But under their new head coach, and with the fact that their defense is a flaming pile of dog shit, they have to throw the ball a lot more. But I still think Alexander Madison is good enough to be worthy of a 5th round pick. Now, there's a lot of reasons to dislike him, right? He never took over for Dalvin Cook. But in my opinion, Dalvin Cook was so good, there was no way he was ever going to take over from him unless he was this superhuman running back that he's not. But when he has been given the opportunity to be the guy, he's been successful. He's caught passes, right? Important for PPR, half PPR leagues. So I like Alexander Madison. I was very nervous a couple days ago, but now I'm all the way back on Alexander Madison. After Madison, we see my boy Christian Watson, Cam Akers, Deontay Johnson, Darren Waller. Then kind of hoping he would fall to the 6th round. Justin Herbert, the pervert. Dalvin, let him cook. Tyler Lockett in my pocket. Skirt. Mike Williams, Alvin Kamara, Brandon Ayuk, George Pickens, and Rashad with 2 A's white. So at this point, there has been a free fall of Justin Fields. His ADP is pick 45. Right now, he's available at pick number 67. While I love the value, and in a real draft, I'm taking this every single time, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't think in a majority of your guys' drafts, Justin Fields will be available towards the end of the 6th round. Again, if this is a real draft, I'm taking what's given to me, right? But when I make these videos, I'm trying to simulate what's actually going to happen, right? So if I take Justin Fields on this team, we're going to have a superstar squad that might not be possible in a majority of leagues. Could he fall this far? Maybe, but I don't think he should. I think he's pretty much locked in to be a 5th round pick. So we are going to go with a wide receiver in this spot. Best available, Christian Kirk, Hollywood Brown, Michael Pittman, Jerry Jeudy, Mike Evans, Jahan Dotson. We don't really have any Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown is a guy that might end up getting shipped off a couple of weeks from now, right? The Arizona Cardinals appear to be doing a fire sale like the fucking Black Ops zombies. I don't know if they will trade Hollywood Brown. I am kind of worried about this Arizona Cardinals team stinking to high heaven, but I do think he could be an interesting player, but he also might just be a certified schlub because he's stuck with these bad quarterbacks, right? They don't even have Colt McCoy on the team anymore. It's either going to be Clayton Looney Tunes, Dobbs, or that's it, I think. Kind of gross. So we're going to go Michael Pittman here. Definitely the safer answer. Now, I know, oh, you could have gotten him in the next round. I am just going to pick my guy in the 6th round that I like. I love Michael Pittman Jr. this year. I believe Anthony Richardson's a better passer than people give him credit for, and I believe that Michael Pittman is going to be a target hog in this offense. I think he has the upside to finish top 10 in the NFL in terms of targets, and last year, he looked really good. The problem was he had the marionette of Matt Ryan throwing him the rock and Sam fucking Ellinger. So as long as Anthony Richardson is just somewhat of a competent quarterback, I think Michael Pittman is in for a big season. After Michael Pittman, Justin Fields, Jerry Jeudy, Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk, James Conner, Dallas Goedert, Mike Evans, Kyle Pitts, DeAndre Swift, Jordan Addison Ray. So all of the good tight ends are gone. Kelsey, Andrews, Hawk, Waller, Kittle, Pitts, Goddard. So this is the point in the draft where I always say, what is the difference between Ingram, Freiermuth, Njoku, Schultz, Higbee? Not a lot, right? So don't reach in the 7th round on one of those guys. It's the same thing with the quarterbacks. I'm a Deshaun Watson truther, but in the 7th round, I'm just going to pray to the football gods he comes back to the 8th round because it feels less gross to take him in the 8th compared to the 7th. And if I don't get him, what's stopping me from waiting for Tua or waiting for Danny Dimes, right? I don't feel like I need to pigeonhole myself, reach, panic, shit my drawers here, and draft Deshaun Watson in the 7th round. Now, we are in a predicament here because we have Josh Jacobs and Madison, 2 running backs I'm very confident in. Do we want another running back here, or do we want to continue to jam the wide receivers? I think since More than likely, we won't be getting Watson in the 8th round. We'll probably go running back here and then wide receiver in the 8th, but we will reassess in the 8th round. We are going to go running back here again. I don't worry too much about the bye weeks in terms of fantasy football at running back or wide receiver. The only position actually matters about is quarterback and tight end, because you don't want to draft 2 quarterbacks by 5, because then you get to buy 5 and you have to either cut one of them or cut someone else. Then you're rostering 3 quarterbacks. That's insane. Same thing with tight end, right? The point of the backup is so that you can play them when the guy's on bye. I don't even draft backup quarterbacks or tight ends most of the time, but that's just an interesting tidbit of information for you guys. James Cook, Javonte Williams, David Montgomery, Isaiah Pacheco. We haven't been taking Javonte Williams much recently. We actually saw that he was getting a lot of receiving work in this offense in preseason. The report is that he could be getting the season on a pitch count. No shit. They're not going to roll him out there as this workhorse running back coming off that injury in week number 1. Might take a couple of weeks, but based upon Jacobs and Madison being our RB1 and RB number 2, I feel pretty confident in having Mr. Javonte Williams on the bench as a guy that maybe 4 or 5 weeks into the season, you throw him into your lineup, right? He's fired up. He's now getting a solid workload, and Javonte Williams is a really talented back. Coming out of college, everyone liked him, right? He finally started to become the guy last season, and then bada bing, bada boom, he's hurt. But he's able to stay healthy this season. He gets healthy a couple weeks in, and he's getting that receiving usage. Sean Payton completely 180s this offense. Then we might have found some gold in the 7th round. Maybe it was fool's gold, though, right? Because maybe Russell Wilson sucks ass, right? Maybe this offense is a flaming pile of dog shit again. Or maybe it's good, right? Maybe it's going to be good. After Javonte Williams, we see James Cook, Jahan Dotson, Deshaun Watson, Hollywood Brown, Cortland Sutton, David Montgomery, Treylon Burks, Brandon Cooks, Isaiah Pacheco, Gabe Davis, Kirko Chains, and Jackson Smith in the Jigba. I am 100% certain at this point in the offseason that Pete Carroll is just playing with our nuts because, oh my God, Charbonnet's out for an extended amount of time. Kenneth Walker out for an extended amount of time. They're back within like 2 weeks. JSN could miss 3 to 4 games. The motherfucker practiced yesterday. He practiced yesterday. Now, again, I'm not like the biggest JSN fan for redraft this season, but his ADP fell. Like, that's kind of a gift in the 8th round. So we're back up on the clock. Sadly, Watson came off the board. Again, don't really feel the need to force the agenda on Dak Prescott here. So we're either going to go running back or wide receiver. Looking at this running back range, after these guys, things start to get incredibly grim. So I think we're just going to grab a running back here. We are going to go with Brian Robinson this time. I don't really take Brian Robinson all that often because I do think Gibson's going to take a lot of that pass catching opportunities, which are obviously very important in a full PPR league. But we saw at the end of last season, Brian Robinson looked downright incredible. If he's able to get that much work in an offense that Eric Bieniemy completely does 180 with, right? Sam Howell actually looked good in preseason. Now, again, I'm not trying to blow my load on preseason. I'm not trying to tell you guys that Sam Howell's the second coming of Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, anything like that. But if Sam Howell isn't garbage, there's a reason to believe they could run the ball a decent amount in Washington with Brian Robinson. And the fact that this man got shot and then came back just a couple weeks into the season, it's just something so beautiful about that. It's a nice morale boost to our squad. After Brian Robinson, Zay Flowers, Michael Thomas, Antonio Gibson, Kadarius Toney, Dak Prescott, A.J. Dillon, the 49ers, Zach Charbonnet, Eagles defense, and Elijah Moore. Do not take a defense or kicker before the last 2 rounds of your draft. Back up on the clock here. Now, important to note, in your redraft leagues, someone brought this up in the comment section. They were doing, I believe, either it was a 16-team league, different than a 12-team league, sure. But they waited to take their quarterback. And then people started to take backup quarterbacks before they even got theirs. And they got buried with Jordan Love as their starting quarterback. In a 12-team league, it's entirely possible everyone fills out their main roster. And then they go, oh shit, let me get a backup quarterback, right? And then while you were waiting for Tua or Daniel Jones or Geno, whoever you like, now they're gone. And now not only are they gone, now, like 3-4 backup quarterbacks have been taken. And now in a 12-team league, your starter is Russell Wilson. And at that point, it is time to be very nervous, right? Then you have to draft a backup because you don't feel comfortable relying on Russ every single week. So that's why I like getting a guy like Tua in this range. Again, we talk about stacking in fantasy football, not uber important, but getting Tua and Tyreek Hill, that added upside week in and week out, right? Tyreek scores 2 touchdowns, gets 100 yards. Tua's probably having a fantastic game. That was obviously the downside. If Tua has a bad game, so does Tyreek, but I think the upside outweighs that. After Tua Tagovailoa, the Steelers, Jerick McKinnon, Juju Smith-Schuster, Khalil Herbert, Sky Moore, Jacoby Myers, Zeke, Odell, Jamal Williams, Tyler Higbee, Tank Bigsby, Samaje Perine. While I'm normally not a backup quarterback guy, if you are someone that is nervous about Tua's health, then go ahead and draft a second quarterback with Tua, right? I get that. He has been taking jujitsu. If you guys watched the Jaguars game, he got hit, and he kind of did a roll, on the ground. Instead of just fucking flopping down, smacking his head against the dirt, he did a roll, And while that's not going to work every time, because sometimes there's going to be a big man coming to hit you, he's going to crush you, right? But a lot of these things where Tua was getting hurt, it wasn't fucking Ray Lewis hit stick to the chest, he flies backwards and smacks his head. No, it's like the defender, pushes him a little. And then nudges him. Oh, I touched the mic. Hopefully that wasn't loud noise. But, nudges him a little bit after he throws the ball, right? To kind of piss him off, get him a little antsy. And then he gets a concussion. I don't think that's going to happen this season. So we're back up on the clock here. We have 4 running backs, 4 wide receivers. It is time to go to wide receiver Pound Town here. I like the receivers we have, so I'm going to take more of the upside chances over the safer chances, right? I think Nico Collins is safe to say he's the wide receiver 1. I love him this season, but I'd rather take Quentin Johnston, right? There's a lot more unknowns with Quentin Johnston, right? How long is it going to take him to climb the ladder to potentially seeing a lot of playing time? He's in a great offense with Justin Herbert the pervert, and he is in a good situation to where if something was to happen to Mike Williams, and Mike Williams isn't the definition of the healthiest guy on earth, then Quentin Johnston could be catapulted into being a top 24 wide receiver. Now, is it safe? No. But when I feel safe about Hill, Ridley, Moore, and Pittman, I'm willing to take that shot. And guess what? The safer option fell back to us. After Quentin Johnston, Rashad Master Bateman, Alan Lazard, Jalen Warren, Jeff Wilson, Darnell, here comes the Mooney, Rashad Penny, Devin 2 Chains, Raheem Mostert, Elijah Mitchell, and Roschon Johnson. I'm back in on these Dolphins running backs as well because JT is not there. I'm going to go Nico Collins. It is telling us to take Evan Ingram. If I'm being honest with you, it seems like the Fantasy Pros AI always has a fucking hiccup. If you don't take one of those tight ends in the 8th or 9th round, then no one takes them, right? Right now, there are still 1, 2, 3, 4 teams without tight ends, right? Evan Ingram is never going to fall to you in the 11th round. So we're going to go with Nico Collins here. Hopefully the tight ends go, and then we get to take our best tight end in the 12th round. But if Evan Ingram is still there, I'm just going to take him, and then you can just assume it's whatever tight end would have fallen to us there, like Higbee or something, as our starting tight end. So the reason why I like Nico Collins a ton is his path to being the number 1 receiver on the Houston Texans is very easy to see. It's a very clear path, crystal clear 20/20 vision. I think CJ Stroud is a big step up from Davis Money Mills, and I think Nico Collins has looked pretty good in preseason thus far, so I'm excited about Nico Collins. He's a guy that I want on all my teams. After Nico Collins, Rondale Moore, Kendre Miller, Damian Harris, Buffalo Bills, Romeo Doubs, David the Chief Njoku, Devin Singletary, Adam Thielen, Tyler, Boyd, Kenneth Gainwell, Jameson Williams, and Tyler Algier. Jameson Williams is a guy that I talk about a bunch. He is the easiest guy to not pick in redraft because if someone else picks him, most leagues you can't put a guy that's suspended on the IR. 3 weeks in the season, they're going to be tired of holding on to him. They're going to cut him. And then you know what you can do? You can pick him up 2 weeks later and then have him on your team for when he is actually ready to play. So he's a guy that is a clear fade for me because you can just go ahead and pick him up a couple weeks into the season unless that owner actually holds on to him. But the odds of that are slim to none if you are in a league that is very active on the waiver wire. After we went ahead and went with Evan Ingram there, Jaden Reed, Rashee Rice, Pat Freiermuth, Zay Jones, Dalton Schultz, Geno Smith, Cordero Patterson, Tajay Spears, Donta Foreman, and Dalton King. Back up on the clock here. If you wanted to go with a backup quarterback, this seems like a solid spot to do it. To go with Anthony Richardson. I like Anthony Richardson a ton. But again, I have made it very clear I'm confident in my boy Tua staying healthy. So I don't think I need a backup tight end or a backup quarterback. We definitely don't need a backup tight end either. We got Evan Ingram. So we are going to go with a running back and receiver to close things out. We are going to go with Now, obviously, when discussing the Indianapolis Colts running backs, if they don't bring anyone in, it is going to be Evan Hull as the starter, I would guess, for week 1. But I'm going to enter the brain, my own brain, fucking rub a crystal ball and tell you that it's going to be Kareem Hunt or Uncle Leonard Fournette as the lead back on the team. So we're going to actually be able to get Kareem Hunt in the next round. So I'm going to go receiver first, but I'm taking Kareem Hunt at the end of these drafts. He's going to get picked up by someone. I think Leonard Fournette is going to get picked up like in the middle of next season and just be a hammer for some team, right? Their main back gets hurt. They don't trust their backup. And then fucking Leonard Fournette shows up big as fuck, but still decent, right? He was still decent last year. I think he could be huge for a team. DJ Chark, I believe, is back practicing, planning to be ready for week 1. Let's take DJ Chark. I've been a DJ Chark guy all offseason. Gonna get back on that. Could have went with Marvin Mims, Hodgins, any of these guys, though, super late. You're just taking shots on guys you think could be the number 1 receiver on their team. After DJ Chark, baby Chark. Michael Gallup, Anthony Richardson, Chuba Hubbard, Deuce Vaughn, Jawan Johnson, Cowboys defense, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Zamir White, Cole Kmet, Jerome Fode, Gus Buzz Edwards, and Jermar Jefferson. So we're back up on the clock here, and we are getting the man. My man's Kareem Hunt here, who I think is going to end up as the lead back on the Indianapolis Colts. Call me Mystic Nick. Fucking call me Mystic Mac. I wish I could do the McGregor accent. Call me Mystic Mac. But that does not sound like Conor McGregor. I cannot do a good Irish accent. I need to get in the fucking, get in the lab for that one. The only accent I'm really good at, or not even really good at, I'm just kind of good at the, my name is Borat, very nice, so wow, that one's the only kind of good one I got in the arsenal. After Kareem Hunt, Chig, Jalen Hyatt, Danny Dimes, throw it on a dime like I ain't even trying. Gerald Everett, DPJ, Patriots, Fournette, Tucker the Fucker, Browns, and the Jets. We're going to go with our first kicker here. We're going to go with Tyler Bass, Pro Shops, kicker of the Buffalo Bills. And then for defense, you want to draft the defense, playing a not-so-hot offense in week 1. I already made my defenses to draft video a couple days ago. There will also be a defenses to stream video on Monday. We are entering into the time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year because it's the football season, baby. Starting next week, Monday, maybe even Sunday, will be the beginning of week 1 content. We finally made it. It felt like we were months away from football. Now I am ready to just shove my face in between some footballs like there's some fucking titties and motorboat 'em, baby. I'm so excited. So let's go with the left hands up. Who are we? The Commanders going up against whoever the fuck the Cardinals decide to play at quarterback in week number 1. So we get a B+ to me. This team's a 100 out of 100, 87 out of 100. Our quarterback is Tua Tagovailoa. Running backs, Josh Jacobs and Madison. Wide receivers are Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley. Tight end is Evan Ingram. Flexes are DJ Moore, Michael Pittman. Defense is the Commanders. Kicker is Tyler Bass. Our bench is comprised of Javonte Williams, Brian Robinson, Quentin Johnston, Nico Collins, DJ Chark, baby Chark, and Kareem Hunt. So thank you guys all for watching. If you want to check out the Patreon, get the rankings, $7.50 down there, link in the video description. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you are new. I appreciate you guys all. We are almost at 25,000 subscribers. Holy shit. That's 1/4 of the way to getting that YouTube plaque that I've wanted ever since I was a kid. And you guys better believe we're going to get it one day. Never give up, you know? You can't ever give up. Follow your dreams, everyone out there. I've been following mine. I've been posting all these videos. And, you know, while not every day, the videos are popping off. Recently, we've seen a lot more success, and it's all due to you guys. Make sure that everyone out there has a good day. I love you guys more than anything on earth. I owe it all for you. I owe it all to you guys. Thank you for everything, because otherwise, I'd just be some fucking buffoon talking into a camera to no one. So thank you guys. Love you guys. Have a great one. As always,